Good morning, everyone. So today I just kind of wanted to hang out and kind of do some circuit bending and stuff. And I also have another surprise for you. If you haven't figured it out by the title, we actually have new merchandise for this season. So one being this t-shirt right here. So this is a super cool black t-shirt. Just dark design. And then we actually have the logo on the side right here. I shouldn't say the logo. GhostFire Electronics is written right on the side. Kind of like a cursive text. So that design is super, super cool. And then we have another version of it that's a little more hands-on. And this is the colorful version of it. So it's the same design, it's just in color. And I personally go through and actually do all this dye and stuff. And I believe this dye comes off eventually, but as of right now, it's very textured. And this is the same deal with the side logo right here. Keep saying logo. It says GhostFire Electronics right there. So this is more hands-on. If you guys want any of these, I can get them custom made for you. They are going to be $40, and I realize that is kind of a bit much for t-shirts, but these are custom t-shirts. I get them made, and the black one is pretty much like white layout, and then they put the design over top of the white layout. So it's almost like double printing t-shirts. And then this one, you actually have to buy all the dye and do all that stuff. So, I do that. So if you want one of these t-shirts, I can do the dye. They are going to vary in look just because this is personally put on. So it's going to be a bit different. But t-shirts are $40 if you want them. These are going to be limited time. Once Slightly Sinister season is over, I will no longer be actually selling those t-shirts. But if you want one, just let me know, and I can get them printed out for you. So today, we are going to be doing this. And this is a kind of goofy little toy that I just have the circuit board for. So it's Loudmouth Sports, and I'm guessing it was originally inside of a football, just because it says and references football many, many times. So I'm guessing it was inside of a football from Move to Play. Now, this is going to be part of the Slightly Sinister season, and I'm planning on actually going live tomorrow as well. So be sure to actually tune in tomorrow's live stream as well, because when we go live tomorrow, I'm going to be doing a little more interesting stuff that's going to kind of make this go together. And it looks to me like this should be a pretty easy end, but maybe not. We will kind of have to see. Typically, like when you find stuff that is movement related, it's kind of newer circuitry. So we may get in here and we may have really bit off more than we can chew, but we are going to try it anyway and kind of see what would happen here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Go ahead and we're just going to do what we normally do is we are going to go ahead and wet our finger a tiny bit and just kind of touch around. This does look like a very, very new instrument. So let's see what we can do here.
Football, football, why do we play? Football, football, here's what I say. You'll have such a blast, you won't believe the time has passed. You'll want to play all day, so in the sun will stay. You'll meet so many friends and hope the game never ends. So let's grab a group and let out a whoop whoop.
So I'm finding absolutely nothing there. You heard no variance.
How do we play? Football, football, here's what I say. It's time to start a play. So hike is what you'll say. You can run or pass the ball. Just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition, the end zone is the mission. Down the field, go, go, and to the touchdown tango.
So, yeah, fear is definitely valid. This is a newer instrument. But even if we can't find anything, I think it'd be kind of still fun just to kind of hang out. But we're going to turn around and see. So my go-to on these instruments are typically, if they're very, very new, most of their glitches are going to be located around the integrated circuit. So this is the integrated circuit right here. Make sure you can see that. So it's right here. So that's the integrated circuit. So that's what we're going to be looking for. And then very, very often, it's not going to be a tempo tone control glitch. So very often on the toys that we do, you have the tempo tone control. On these type of instruments, it's very, very rare to find one of those. They used to run tempo tone controls on oscillator crystals, and then that technology eventually went to resistors. So resistors are kind of where we typically do all of our instruments at. That's anywhere ranging from like 19, probably 85s. If the company's ahead of the curve, maybe 1985 to probably 2014. And then typically everything after 2014 is going to be just integrated circuit ran. So you have two integrated circuits. You have one here, and then you have one here under this goop stuff that keeps other companies from stealing their technology. Typically, you want to go ahead and hit up the integrated circuits on whatever you can touch, and then that's going to give you mostly like static effects and things of that nature. But we'll touch around here, and we'll see, if we can get some examples of that.
Tap, shake, or toss to play. Football, why do we play? Here's what I say.
There's kind of a weird buzzing there.
Play all day, so in stay.
The one right next to it is another weird buzzing.
So, sample it out, okay? Football, how do we play? Football, here's what. It's time to play. You can pass the ball, just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition, the end zone is the mission. Down the field, go, and do the touchdown tango.
So it seems that is literally just a bare wire thing, and it's more of just like a buzzing. Seems to only happen when the sound is on. But even though that's the only thing we found so far, definitely don't let that discourage you, because what we're going to do is we're going to add some different things inside of the circuit. We're going to touch around with some color changing LEDs, and typically like the oscillation on that can actually throw a curve in the circuit and then give some. And our second thing we could actually do is run with the capacitor, and capacitors will make it different as well. I am going to go ahead and tag up both of these. Some options here. So this point on the farthest left, that's the point we need to be tagging up. If you see, this actually runs out to the resistor. Oh, I'm totally showing you way above the camera. Sorry about that. So this point to the left runs out to the resistor right here. So I'm actually going to base this off of the resistor. You know what? I say that, and I think I'm not going to, because it is microcircuitry. I'm afraid it'll get pulled up later on in the episode. I'm going to go ahead and base it off of that left point right there. And then these 2 points are exactly the same. So I'm just going to tag one of those up, probably the one to the right there. make this make sound, but did you hear that? That was absolutely beautiful. So we are definitely going to tag that up. And possibly does this make it? It does. So this is not only worth putting on a switch, it's also worth putting on a button because it makes the instrument talk. So we're for sure tagging these up. And what I'm going to do, I'm not going to do the same mistake that I did earlier. I'm going to go ahead and pre-strip the wires to where we don't have to strip them after they're soldered on. Curiosity, let's go ahead and this.
Just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition, the end zone is the mission. Down the field, go softly.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. Since we know that those are working, I'm going to go ahead and call that point done, and I'm going to hot glue it. So that is absolutely crazy sounding. Looks like that time did not crash it. So funny enough, what that actually sounds like to me. So if you ever hear those things where if you play a song backwards, there's secret messaging and stuff, that totally sounds like one of those songs played backwards. So if you take you know, whatever song, Pink Floyd, whatever, play it backwards. That's kind of what that sounds like to me. So that is really cool, and I've actually never come across any glitch that sounded like that to my knowledge. So for sure tagging that one up. It requires an LED, but we are good with that. So I don't know. It's very similar, but I think I am going to tag it up as a different bend, and we're just going to use a different oscillation LED. And the reason being is it may end up being something totally different down the road. So the funny thing about circuit bend instruments is that they tend to change as time goes on. So the more hours you have in a circuit bend instrument, the more the instrument itself will actually change, and the bends themselves actually change, and that's really interesting part about it, until eventually the instrument will stop working. So technically everything does stop working, especially in electronics. Eventually just things will break because the people designing these boards are not perfect. So it will break. The difference being circuit bend instruments, you're speeding up their life quite a bit because you're literally making them do things that was not mathematically set out for them to do. So you're putting voltage where there shouldn't be voltage, and, you know, overdoing specific parts, and kind of when somebody had put that resistor there to stop some resistance so it doesn't blow a capacitor, you're bypassing that resistor. So it is going to speed up the death of the instrument, but, you know, I don't know. Pretty much what I'm saying is that they do change. So within that time, for some reason, the board itself does change. And then very often you will have that happen. Before the instrument ever dies or anything like that, it will actually change. That's perfect. All right.
It's time to start a play. So hike is what you'll say. You can run or pass the ball. Just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition, the end zone is the mission. Down the field, go, go, until the touchdown tango.
So I'm kind of thinking through this on what I'm going to do next with this. So the speaker uses a sponge and actually pushes it down. I don't know if it would actually chop those wires in half. I could always just flip that and, you know, risk pulling some stuff off. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually just going to cut this down, and we're going to give these speakers, or I'm sorry, give the wires a little bit of space around the speakers. So I'm going to keep with the LEDs right here. So it's really funny right here, and I don't understand why exactly it is. So I'm gonna try to get this so where you can see it. I'm gonna have to move over. So on this board, this symbol right here, in schematic language, that symbol means LED. Now there's no LED on this board whatsoever, and also there's a good shot of what we've added so far. So these are the loop, or I shouldn't say loop, they're the weird glitch out switches. The first like glitch out switch we found was right here. We hot glued it over. It was just on these two resistors. This is a LED symbol. Don't know why this is here. I actually recently did an instrument that you'll see, months down the road, where, shouldn't say months down the road. I don't know how long it'll take. It'll be post season for sure, where they had actually removed a LED from the design board that was definitely supposed to be in the final product, and then for some reason they took it out. Manufacturers sometimes do that because of like rates, price, something like that, or maybe they figured out the boards didn't last as long with those LEDs. So, I mean, I don't know why, but sometimes that stuff does happen. So I'm going to assume that is an LED, and we are going to go ahead and try to hook an LED in that and see if that's doable. So I'm not super stressed about that in any real way, because even though that LED was kind of a cool find, it wasn't necessary, because you can see that this board just lights up everywhere. And I can guarantee you that it's probably going to light up. Shouldn't guarantee you anything. It'll probably light up on the speaker. We'll see. We will see that right now, actually. See, that is why I did not guarantee it right there. Doesn't look like it, but perfectly fine, because we can always host it off of something else. I'm going to go ahead and assume that it's going to give us power elsewhere to go ahead and light this LED up. So funny enough, if you actually base it off of, I believe, the ground on this LED. No, I think it's a positive. See? Yeah, it's a positive. So you base it off the positive on this LED. It actually does come on when you just ground it to something else. Let me check and see if the actual ground, well, actually, you know what we can do? We can actually just ground it on this integrated circuit right here, because all integrated circuits are grounded, typically. Okay, so that's actually kind of cool. So we can actually still go off this LED. It seems that they cut the ground for some weird reason on these LEDs, which I guess if you don't need to print it, then you don't need to print it, but seems like you'd have to pay to redesign something like that. So I don't know the reason for it, but I think we could actually very safely host that directly off of here, and then that might give us some cool functionality as well. So for some reason that had developed some little short circuit. Now that LED is insanely bright and it's a little too bright for my comfort, so I'm going to go ahead and limit it a bit by putting any resistor on it. I think once I solder this, we're going to go back to the capacitor. I'm going to go back to the capacitor.
My IQ is 120. So I punched him in the face.
It's really pronounced capacitor, but for some reason I just threw an M in there. We're going to go back to the capacitor and see if we can find any more bends along this. Then we'll start adding some components if we do not find anything else. So to show you kind of the difference in components here, you have, oh, well, I guess there is no difference. It's fine. But when you do go to this side, you actually get that buzzing sound when you flip it over, we get the glitch sound with a capacitor. So it's kind of interesting.
Football, football, how do we play? Football, football, here's what I say. It's time to start a play. So hike is what you'll say. You can run or pass the ball. Just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition.
Okay, so I'm not really seeing too much else. So I think at this point, it would be smart to go ahead and add components to this. No, I'm pretty satisfied with it. It's odd. It's definitely an odd one. Now, right here, I'll show you what I kind of like to do here. And that is, I like to secure these. We're going to go ahead and use hot glue. And I'm going to turn the circuit off as I hot glue this because I don't want this to short circuit in any way. And I'm not going crazy on hot gluing the integrated circuit here either. I am going crazy on hot gluing the resistor. Okay, so that all looks fine to me. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to feed this out. So if we're to sell this or do anything, really the only things we would have to have the other person do is change the batteries. So that being said, I'm not super concerned about how the wires exactly look, just as long as they fit and they run out of the box so we can put the components on them. So the reason I'm telling you that is because we could have a couple different options. We could run them all out in the same place, which I typically do, but seeing how this is microcircuitry, it's kind of risky to do so. So we're going to be running them out in two separate places.
Hike! Ball, ball. How do we play? Football,
All right, cool.
football. Here's what I say. It's time to start a play. So hike is what you'll say. You can run or pass the ball. Just make sure it does not fall. To beat the competition, the end zone is the mission. Down the field, go, go, and do the touchdown tango.
So what I'm doing here is I'm going to add a button and I'm going to add a switch because as you've seen, there wasn't really too much variance as far as the potentiometer goes. It was just either on or it was off. So that tells me that there's no real reason to put a potentiometer on there. I mean, you could technically use it as a switch, but I don't really want to do that. I would just rather use a regular switch as opposed to using a potentiometer as a switch. So we're just going to use this. We're going to add a button first off, and then we're going to add a switch to that. And the reason we're adding a button instead of just the switch is because we do have the option to actually make...
Game over.
We do have the option to actually make the instrument talk just using this glitch. So since we do have that option, we do want to go ahead and put it on a button as well so it can actually act as a sound activator and a glitch out. So this seems to me like it's actually just acting as a switch.
Tap, shake, or toss to play.
So kind of not really worried about that one. We're just gonna put on a switch, but I'm thinking maybe a resistor because it seems like it does crash like directly after.
Hut, hut, hike, go long, hot route, huddle up, Oma, red, blue, hut, hike, go.
I just wanted to say that.
Football, 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 football. Such a blast, believe it's back. Play it, so then.
incorrect. It seems quite stable. I'm not sure what caused it to crash the previous time, but it does seem pretty stable. So let's go ahead and add it on a switch. So that is it for this instrument. We've got some really cool stuff now put on here.
Here's what I say.
All three at once? All right, so that is it for this right now. Promise you I was going to do something crazy on live stream, so why the heck not? This is a habanero. So if you're not familiar with habaneros, habaneros are insanely hot little peppers. They're not super, super hot. I don't even think they're classified as a super hot. I grow habaneros. I grow Carolina Reapers. I grow scorpions, marugas, just all that crazy, crazy stuff. You've seen my vlogs. You know some crazy stuff that I grow. So I thought it'd be fun to go ahead and take a habanero. This to me is absolutely nothing. So you can find people of eating a habanero having a horrible, horrible time. This to me is a snack pepper. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to cut this off. I'm not eating a habanero, so to speak. It's a beautiful pepper. Look at that. It almost looks like a star. That's gorgeous. I don't want to damage it too much, and I definitely don't want to cut it in half. Beautiful pepper. Love it. Now, a lot of the heat's going to be on the inside here, so I'm not cutting the heat out. Just trying to make a little more space in here. You'll see why. Okay. Now, it's pure capsaicin. It's not actually pure capsaicin. That's what the company calls it. This is an extract. This is a heat extract. And we'll see how much this is in Scoville units. So it's 100 times hotter than a jalapeno. This has a Scoville rating around 5,000. So you can see that super serious label right here. This stuff is, I'm going to say that it's good for an extract. I really, really don't like the taste of any extract. And I'm not hating on the companies. I just don't like the taste of extract. It tastes just like straight alcohol. It's just disgusting. So if you ever smell isopuric alcohol, that's what extract tastes like in your mouth. It's just, ugh. It's kind of horrible. So I'm going to take this. How many droppers can we fit in here? Do one. And we'll do two. Two drops. Just kind of fun. Look at that. Get that all filled up. That is absolutely great. Love it. All right, so I'm going to try to take you off here. So we have this. It's beautiful. So there we go. So we have this. You see all this is still in there. Absolutely beautiful. How's that horrible, horrible taste? I'm telling you. So, if you weren't used to that, it'd probably send you in panic mode. It's all right. It's just hot stuff all the time. But thank you guys for joining. Thank you guys for hanging out. Hope you had fun. Like I said, for sure, jump in tomorrow. I'm going to be live streaming again. No real set time for that. It's going to be a busy day, so I'm going to have to see how late I'm out and all of that. But mouth is watering so much. But Yeah, for sure. Jump in tomorrow. We're going to be finishing that up. Hopefully, we'll be doing work for it for sure. Have an awesome Saturday. I will see you guys tomorrow.